Welcome, guys. Welcome to episode 3 of our MMO podcast. I am joined here today by my good friend Nico Tullo. And in
Hello?
this episode, we are going to be talking about whether or not classes equals content. This is kind of an interesting topic. Nico, what are your thoughts? Take it away.
So now with Breaker releasing Lost Ark, and I guess classes releasing everywhere all the time, there's always this discussion because a new class releases instead of maybe a content patch, and people are like, is that really, would you really consider that content? I think there's a lot of different perspectives on this. Obviously, if you play the class, it's content for you because you know, a class is kind of like the lens you see the game with, through. So in that sense, there's definitely content there. But what about the people that don't play the class and then
Sure.
the class releases? Is that content for them?
Honestly, man, my opinion is very simple. That opinion is content, or rather classes equals content depending on the game. If the game is an alt-centric game, it's content. If it is not, then it's not. That's how I see it. That's why I feel like classes being released in Lost Ark is significantly more impactful, or it's just more significant compared to, like, let's say a game like, I don't know. I can't think of WoW, I guess maybe. I don't know.
What about if you already have a 6-man roster and you don't want another character? Would you still think that it would you would consider that as content for you?
Yeah. So, like, obviously, if you're not planning on playing said class, even in an alt-centric game. By the way, gotcha games are also a good example of it. I mean, Genshin, these games, the core content literally revolves around character pulls, right? Yeah, obviously it's not good content. It's not relevant content to what you want to do, right? But it's the same thing as PvE content being dropped when you're a PvPer and vice versa.
Sure.
So, like, I think by definition, it is content across the board. Contextually, I think it is more significant. I think the significance of the content is higher if it's an alt, depending on how alt focused the game is. What do you think?
Sona brought up two good points about that I wanted to talk about as well.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I would argue in a game like Lost Ark, where you obviously have group content, the more group impactful the new class releases, the more content it is for people that aren't playing it.
Right.
So supports are one example. Like if a support comes out like artist and there's like a new mechanic to it where this artist summons a portal and you can skip, like, maybe you can grid a little more damage and avoid the mechanic by clicking on the portal or whatever.
Yeah.
That kind of creates content for everyone else as well.
Sure.
So there's like new things.
I got you.
Yeah, and the same kind of goes for PvP, right? So if you play PvP and you play in like an arena in Lost Ark or any other game, and a new class comes out, even if you don't play the class, you will have to learn it and you will have new interactions with that class. So in those kind of two categories, I think the content that comes out of a class is much more impactful than just, we're just doing this raid and no one is really talking to each other or doing things together. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me how excited you get for a class that drops.
I mean, for Lost Ark or in general?
In general.
In general. Usually, I'm one of those people that likes the novelty of it. So,
okay.
If let's say in an MMO in Korea, the class comes out first, right? And I can't test it yet, then I'm immediately depressed. Okay?
Yeah.
But if a new class comes out simultaneously everywhere and everyone's trying to figure out like how to even play this, how this works, how these things, how you need to put it together, then I'm pretty excited about it, actually. And I usually really enjoy new class releases.
Yeah. So it is content for you then.
In that sense, it is, yeah.
Okay.
If it's not let's go to Maxroll or a guide website and let's just look up the best guide there is or the best build there is, then I think it gets problematic very fast. Yeah.
Like, for me, I think new classes, it's something that yeah, a lot of your player base, again, depending on the game, but for MMOs, most of the time, a lot of the player base isn't going to really care about.
Mm,
It's not going to impact the game that significantly as far as like like the content that you experience. But at the same time, it is one of those types of content drops that that can have such a huge impact on the game. Because other than like a fresh start or a fresh server, whatever that may be, like anything in line with that, I think new classes is single-handedly the best way to get new players to come join your game. But at the same time, you're kind of limited to the people that want to play that type of class, right? Like for me, I think it is content in that sense, but it's unique content. But at the same time, if we are measuring the significance of content, I think all content is different. All content is going to be just reaching out towards certain players.
always a little bit of a niche.
Yeah, it always will be. Unless it's like the core content, which would be a raid in Lost Ark, for example, where everyone is going to be on it, right? But outside of like, but any content that is outside of the core content is just always going to be side content. So if you kind of look at it from that lens, a new class drop is probably one of the best forms of content that you could provide for your game. Certainly one of the best types of contents that you could drop for an influx of new players and to make money.
Yeah, in my case, the one thing that I can really remember when a new class released was, which you also played, Striker in BDO, which that class single-handedly brought me back to the game. Like I was already kind of out of it.
Yeah.
And then the class was, that's a class that I want. That's what I like.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what brought me back in the day to really push again. But actually, what I wanted to ask, would you rather see every class in the game get a little new thing, or would you rather see a new class releasing?
For me, new class. New class. But it depends. So if I'm already playing a class that I absolutely love, because some games you get that, right? Like for example, Strike, right? If I'm in that category of people, then I would rather have a new thing for each class. But at the same time, I'd be a little bit scared when it came to that, because one little new thing could change the class significantly, indirectly or directly. You know, let's say every other class got this new thing where suddenly they have protection to CC. You know, and your class stood out because you were the best at CCing. This is a very bare bones basic example. Suddenly, what made your class really good and enjoyable and special has been stripped because of that.
True.
Maybe, right? So I think it's very dangerous, but if I love my class, that's what it is. Here's an example. One of my favorite classes that I've ever played in any MMO was Awakening Warrior. I don't know if you know this. A lot of people don't know this.
I don't know this.
But only Awakening Warrior during the early days of BDO, and specifically Lingering Super Armor Warrior, where you go into your Q block and you have a second and a half of super armor that lingers, and every skill is protected, but you're constantly weaving out your Q block to stay in that. That class design, that like just Awakening Warrior, a class where your entire gameplay is working around this lingering super armor mechanic, was so insanely fun to me.
I would have probably loved that too.
Fucking loved it. It was so fun. But when they removed it, did the class mechanically change? No, but the way you played it completely changed. It completely changed. It changed the dynamics of everything. All of a sudden, my solar flare doesn't have protection. I'm like, what the? I'm like, oh, like I gotta go into my pre-awakening shield, like my chopping kick, like my shield slide into chopping kick. Oh, that doesn't feel the same, you know? And this was before they added core skills where you could actually add protection to certain skills and whatnot, which made it better. But that's an example, right? If they didn't change anything, then yeah. Like
I love that. I love this weaving.
That's what I'm saying. I love the weaving. Like Awakening, Lingering Super Armor, Awakening Warrior, because I love that class so much, I didn't want I didn't care about a new class that came out. I didn't care about whatever. I like, yeah, just let me stick to this and just, any little enhancement on top, amazing, but let's stick to this. But
There's definitely a
yeah,
risk. There's
yeah,
definitely a risk to adding things or balancing.
sure.
You can absolutely lose people. Like even if with a new class release that kind of maybe does what your favorite class does, but a little bit better or a little bit different, and all of a sudden your feeling about how you played it and how special it felt, because at the end of the day, classes are kind of identity. That's also a completely different topic. We could talk about classless versus a class-based
Sure.
MMO.
Yeah. Also, keep in mind, chat. I know you guys are saying you like Awakening Warrior when it was broken. Yes. and number two, Awakening Warrior. My experience with Awakening Warrior in the meta was a little bit different to you guys because I played on the C region. I started my BDO in the C region. I did not play NA, so I don't know what Awakening Warrior was like in NA. I think maybe it was the only class that was awakened first because it was the first class. I don't know if that's the truth.
Yeah.
Obviously, that wasn't the case on C, right? So the experience was a little bit different, but it was still broken. And yeah, sorry, I liked it. But yeah, then you got a game like Lost Ark. If we were to use Lost Ark as an example, I've always loved Striker. I very much enjoyed Striker. But I never liked Striker the way I loved Awakening Super Armor Warrior in Lost Ark or in BDO. So for me, game like Lost Ark, a new class. Oh shit, breakers drop in. Okay, I much rather prefer a brand new class, and even current BDO to a certain extent. I actually really like Succession Ninja. I very much like. It's probably one of my favorite classes to play ever of all time. But even BDO, I wouldn't mind seeing new classes being played. And I also think that answer would change depending on how long I've been playing a game.
True.
Yeah.
And how invested you are into each character or
yeah.
the combat system in general.
Yeah.
I mean, in BDO they teased like a new. I don't know if you saw this. There's like a guy with a pipe that's smoking and a sword, like a smoke class or something.
See, me and you, I feel like we're on the same page with classes, but thematically,
you're really sick.
Yeah, are we doing that?
Yeah,
Nico. The thing is, I'm not on EU. That's the problem. That's the problem. Yeah,
maybe you should be.
Class. Maybe I feel like I would play KR before I play EU though. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind checking out KR. I never played KR that much. I played a little bit. So, but I mean, I got pretty invested on my NA character too. Like I had a pretty solid start over there.
Actually, just one more question I have for you, which is kind of on the topic, kind of.
Ask. Let's hear it.
Do you like animation canceling in class combat, or would you prefer not having that layer?
Short answer or long answer?
Long.
Long answer. Course. Okay.
There's a podcast, Kanon.
True. Long answer, I like it. I love it. I very much love it. I love things that require high skill cap. I love things that will allow you to separate yourself from others. And when you master a class or when you play a class enough, having animation cancels keep you engaged. It keeps you there. You can like a class all you want, but I guarantee you, if all you did was whirlwind 24/7, it would after doing that for a year, 2 years, 3 years, you're bored with it. Versus that, and that's why I love Succession Ninja so much. Like every situation I'm in, whether it's like specifically PvP, I have a multitude of options, different cancels that I can go into to try and to do different engages. I like options. I like animation cancels, and that's what animation cancels do, right? Like, well, to a certain degree, they offer you additional options. They offer you the ability to push more. Like, and when you master a class, I don't care how bad of a gamer you are. If you do master a class you play for years, you will be fully capable of being able to cancel to a certain degree, right? So I think that just for an MMO where you're playing the long term and you're just playing on one class, which I prefer playing one class, I think it's a massive W. Now, that's not to say that I would, if I were designing a game, I would implement it, because I think there are a lot of factors involved in it that are equally as important. For example, a game like Awakening Warrior, again with BDO, I don't like the fact that I have to turn my graphics all the way down to deal more damage. I think that's terrible. I think it's absolutely terrible.
That's the attack speed for FPS thing, right?
Yeah. I think that's a huge problem. I think that's terrible. I think that's really bad. Yeah. I don't want to experience the game that way. And honestly, it's one of the biggest reasons why I didn't want to play Awakening Warrior. Even though, and this is coming from someone that has a god tier PC. I have a great PC, but I don't want to run my graphics down to RuneScape. I would fucking play RuneScape then, you know? Yeah. To a certain degree. I know that's a bit disingenuous, but you get what I'm saying, right? So yeah, there's that issue, and another issue is ping. Like if the ping and FPS are two things that we cannot get around. True. And if the animation cancel is something that is just going to require ping and FPS, then I think that's bad. I would rather not have that in the game, even though I would have a much better experience with it. You know, god tier PC, I live in Korea, I'll play a Korean game, one ping, you know, or if I'm back in the States, most servers are East Coast in Virginia. I'm from Virginia, one ping again. You know, like I benefit from these things, but even then, I don't like it's. We talk about monetization and pay to win being unfair. That's also unfair, in my opinion. I think that's also unfair.
I think that, yeah, I agree with that.
What's your
take?
In
general, having or allowing control over your character through a skill ceiling, through a learned muscle memory, is amazing. I think that is one of the most. I mean, it sounds corny, but I actually find that beautiful. Like if I watch like a professional high level player look completely different than what I'm doing, that motivates me. That's like, bro, oh wow, there's so much more to do,
brother.
This guy is just, you know, on a completely different level.
I need you to do me a favor. When BNS Neo comes out, play Kung Fu Fighter in Blade and Soul.
Right.
Yeah, I mean other classes as well, but you're like, because I don't think you're gonna like Blade and Soul. Let's be real here. You don't like anything, but I think you're gonna really enjoy the combat. I think you will. I genuinely think you will, and that'll give you a nice little window of happiness. Okay, because you will appreciate the combat in BNS, because that is the one thing. No matter whether you hate NCSoft, no matter whether you hate BNS, the one thing that you have to concede is that the combat is fucking good. And that's exactly what you're talking about with your animation canceling and all that stuff. It's good. But it kind of goes back to what I'm saying. Ping. I played on KR and I played on NA. Holy shit. I cannot play KF Kung Fu Master with high ping. It's terrible.
I guess we'll see where the EU servers are placed.
Yeah,
sometimes they're in Germany.
Yeah. As long as you're not like 100 ping or anything, the lower the ping, the better. But I mean, you're gonna probably be pinging under 50, right? You'll probably be like 30 ping or something. So, that's good enough.
Okay. Yeah, I will probably have between 16 and 30 somewhere.
It's just what you described is like you should look up some PvP. Look up like KFM PvP tournament, Blade and Soul. By the way,
I think I won't be able to appreciate that until I played myself.
I think the fact that it looks like you're watching a Tekken fight would at least spark your interest, because that's what it looks like. And you can see like in some of the combos, you can see them animation canceling, because like clearly it's like you see them like go for a kick and then stop and then stutter kick and stuff like that. Like you can, as a gamer, you'll be able to be like, oh, he's canceling right now. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And this is coming from someone that was never that invested, right? Just watching. Yeah.
I did regret not playing Blade and Soul when it was first big. Because there was like an actual competitive scene, right? With actual
in regards to that,
stuff.
I was about to say you don't have to regret that, man. but yeah, from the PvP scene, yeah, sure. Yeah. Speaking of PvP scene and competitive, sorry, I forgot the topic of the podcast, but just real quick, just real quick. What is the deal with Lost Arks PvP, man? You were in it, dude. You're killing it, bro.
Man, I'm gonna be honest. To this day, I think Lost Ark PvP brought more out
I
of the combat
agree.
system than raids did.
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
think the combat system was very well crafted for a PvP game.
Yeah.
Like similar to a fighting game or something,
Very
where
much.
kind of most things were addressed. There were some problems with the camera perspective and the widescreen and
Yeah.
all of that stuff. And obviously overall the how you learn the game and
Uh-huh.
you know how things are portrayed and stuff is all kind of scuffed.
Yeah.
But like the core way how CC and combos and all of these things work in conjunction or in combination
Sure.
with the cooldowns
Yeah.
was like I've never seen really anything like that in an MMO.
But that's also because you played Blade, brother.
And Shadowhunter.
I know. I'm just kidding.
And Shadowhunter.
I know. I'm just messing with you. Not really,
I
but
still
yeah.
sometimes watch the old tournament videos.
We should put something
They're-
together.
yeah.
You're not playing shit anyway. Why don't you revitalize the PvP scene in Lost Ark?
When is the next season?
Did they,
Or is there even?
I don't know. I'll be honest. Okay, so I was streaming Lost Ark the other day, and I was doing PvP, and I shit you not, some of the people on my channel were watching it for like the first time. They're like, "What is this? Is actually so fun to watch." I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
it is." Stoops and I, when I go down to California next week, we're gonna actually host a little PvP Wambly
Nice.
/ tournament. Yeah. I think it'll be
It's
good
funny
fun.
because Stoops used to be a PvP player in WoW, and now he's
Yeah.
washed up in Lost Ark.
Yeah, he's smart though. He's smart.
It is smart.
You know how much
it is
bigger we
smart.
could have grown if we focused on PvE instead of PvP, Nico?
I think we should have played on Korea, to be honest.
Yeah.
That would have been, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, I like even today when I log into Lost Ark, the only thing I can bear doing is PvP. Like if I see another Chaos Dungeon, listen, the uninstall button is right there. You know?
I feel you. But that, okay, so that, speaking of, that's one of the things with Lost Ark. Like, I'm with you, but I've been having a better time doing Chaos Dungeons now because I have a goal.
Yeah,
I have
of
a
course.
character, new breaker, that I'm looking forward to playing, and I want to prog him. And I have Theamine, the race for Theamine hard. All of a sudden, this stale content that I was bored of became more enjoyable. You know what I mean? And it goes back to what you're talking about with new classes. You know, excuse me, that's right. Well, that's what we were talking about. Full circle, classes being content. But if that's not there, man, I'm with you, dude. I'm 100% with you. Are you not interested in Breaker though? That's up your alley.
In a PvP sense, I want to try it.
It seems stupid broken in a PvP sense. They have
it looks really cool
because they have that activate skill that gives them push immunity for like 3 seconds, and if you get hit, it extends your push immunity. How the hell is that going to work in PvP, Nico? Come on.
I did watch a little bit of Blinks play it in like another region, and it looked pretty crazy.
Yeah.
For PvP.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a ranked season, I might try some Breaker. Yeah. But I always like Shadowhunter a lot, so maybe I'll just do that again.
I wish we could play on the same region, man. I feel like we could actually do some in-game content together. I think that would be
one day there will be no more ping issues. We will all be playing on the same server.
Yes, I was talking about that
all
on my
on
stream.
0 ping.
Dude, I was actually talking about that on my stream not too long ago, because you remember when we were on dial-up, right? Dial-up ping. I don't know if you know this, but unless I'm misremembering,
I'm not that old,
but I did. I remember measuring my ping, because this is like right when cable started coming out, and most people were still on dial-up. Dial-up ping was about 250. It depends on where you're connecting to, but from whatever I was connecting to in NA, it was like 250 ping, 250 to 300. That turned into fucking 20 or 30 with cable. Bro, how long has it been since cable came out? Come on, like, where is the technology? Fiber's obviously a lot better, but come on, give us something that will allow us to ping at least 30. Like, dude, I could ping 30 from Korea to EU. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, even 50. Even 50, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Even 50, man. Holy
Once we get there, it's all going to be nice.
It's over, man. It's over. But we're not going to get there today, and I guarantee you we're not going to get there by the time we film episode number 4. So, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, I'm going to segue out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow Mr. Nico on his socials. Follow me on Twitch. And let us know what you guys would like us to talk about or what game you'd like us to cover for episode 4, I think, in the comments.
Yes.
Yeah. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.